So PTSD mostly factors in whether the veteran or person that's in, during combat and that's already enlisted. Because people that are enlisted can also get PTSD. You can get PTSD while you're there. I mean, it ranges from 18 to 29. That's when the real start of PTSD happens, when you are actually able, qualified to get enlisted. As whether 18-year-old, that's the general basis. 18 is when the first age you can get it. So it factors in of how high it is, whether you were in war or not. So if you were not in war, it's kind of low, but you still can have it. And if you were in war, you obviously can get it very easily. Now, PTSD, people think is just from the combat part of it and the physical part of it, but it can also be from a routine standpoint part of it. You see, these people, they lay their lives on the line for us every single day. So just imagine the routine and stuff they got to go through to be able to just qualify and be able to put their own body on the front line for you and me to be here and doing whatever what you're doing on the other side of the screen. I know I'm making this video right now, but you see how you have the freedom to do it? Some places don't have the freedom. Some third world countries do not have the freedom. They don't have the peace to do what they want to do, I should say. So about 80% of vets experience PTSD. So 80% as a whole of all vets, 80%. Just imagine the ones that don't. The 80% to the ones that don't. Just look how high of a scale. So every time you see a veteran and you think, maybe I should say thank you for my service. Or if you already say thank you for my service, you just think, wow, he probably has PTSD. Like, just imagine the things he go through on a daily basis, just from a sound standpoint, and how he has to live his life and just navigate on the outside world. That's very big. That's very big. Anything can trigger you, and you can black out and do some things that you don't know you're doing. And it's all from what? Laying your life on the line for a country that you think is great and deserves your blood to be honored as one of its like shielders, I should say, But yeah, it's just very sad to think of. So it's a very high rate that goes into how many active duty members we have today. So imagine the rate of them when they come out. But then when you really look into vets, you see that they get a weird stigmatism of how they carry themselves, and a lot of them being homeless. But then you question yourself to look at, if these people put their life on the line for us, how are they homeless when they get out? Why doesn't the government do enough so they can at least have a roof over their head? And that's not even going into the health aspect of it. When we look into the health aspect of it, they have things that are set in place for veterans, just veterans alone, hospitals and doctors, but the waiting list is so long to get on. I mean, you're not waiting for a pair of jeans or a new pair of shoes. It's literally your health on the line. And the government has billions, trillions of dollars, but they don't actively reach out and do enough. They set the things in place. Example, VA Gov is a site dedicated just for veterans to go and get help, whether it's loans, healthcare, housing, therapy, food, you have insurance, you have Navy Federal, you have all these other things that are in place for just those special people. and I wouldn't, and I don't call them special as in special. I call them special as in special people. These are brilliant, special, honorable people. Anybody that enlists themselves and fight for this country is an honorable person. You have to look at them as an honorable person, because they never know when that day, when they might get that, hey, you have to go, and we're going. You never know. So why doesn't the government do fully enough to support the veterans in their medical issues? I mean, they have things in place, and what are we really, like, what are we really going for, you know? But when you dig deep and look at the percentages of who has PTSD, so when you look at the male and female, obviously, statistically, the males is much higher than the females. Just because you look at the male standpoint, how many males are in it, how many females, I mean, obviously it'll be more, yes. But when you look at the single to the married is at 51% of likely to have PTSD than somebody that's single in the military. That's a vet. They're at about 28%. So that makes you think a lot about what they're thinking about, you know, during that moment, and just what they're pleading to come back to, you know? Like, what if a single person's mindset is to just give it all they got? What if they enlisted because they thought nobody loved them, so this is like their last route of finding companionship, but also trying to be somebody that's honorable or accepted, you know, in their family or whatever the case may be. And then you look at the married people and think, what is their why? What are they driving for? What are they looking at before, you know, they go into that combat experience? It's hard, you know? It's hard because you look at movies and you see something happen to a soldier and they say, like, have this picture of my kids, or can you make sure my wife gets this, you know? Like, it's a lot of things that go into those, you know, like, discussions. And soldiers are coming back home with that on their head, and it just like replays in their head, you know? If something is a routine and this is how you live your life, then how can somebody tell you that you're fucked up? I mean, obviously yes, but this is how I live my life. Like, this is what I did. Who knew it was gonna affect me in a bad way, you know? I was just trying to do some good. Who knew it was gonna affect me in a bad way? So when you look at PTSD, just know it's nothing to play with, man. High or low, whatever the scale may be for you, it's nothing to play with. PTSD is a serious matter, and I think not only for the normal people, but the vets. Just look at how they have it. Look at how they live their life, you know? When you see that vet out with that hat, just know they wear it with pride. Like, they wear it because they did that, you know? They did it for you. So just tell them thank you. That thank you goes a long way. Talking to somebody and saying thank you goes a long way. Just that alone. Thank you for your service. Or you may not know how hard it is, but you're thanking them for their service. They know you don't know, but they at least give them the gratitude that you care. At least show that you care, you know? At the end of the day, that's really the main standpoint of things when it comes to PTSD and soldiers. I feel like there is no argument between that. Even though the argument there is it only in soldiers that have combat or not? Like, the soldiers that don't have combat, do they even have PTSD? Can they even apply for these things that that others are that actually have PTSD apply for? But even if so, even if they're applying for it, the rate of getting accepted is so slim to slow. It is so hard because the government barely reaches out to actually accept people and actually help. And they have the money, they have the things in place, but they're not using it. How can you get a blueprint of something to help the world, the society, and not use it? It's crazy, especially when you draft these people, you put these people in place with these uniforms, you put them through all this, and they help you, and you just, okay, you go about your time, you go about your life. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.